With that, Mark, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks for joining me today. I want to just kind of start out with some opening comments. I don't know if remarks would be appropriate because they're not that formal, but obviously want to reflect a little bit before we get to the Q&A portion. Was thinking through moments and, thoughts and memories over the past, month. And one moment kind of summarized my awareness, my heightened awareness as to the magnitude of what was occurring, not just for us, but for our fans. I think it was the Sunday after Game 2 of the ALCS. I was walking in a park with my dog and my brother after the game before heading to Seattle. Passed by, dozens of Blue Jays caps, sweaters, things you might not see in October. Got to the field where, we throw the ball to Cleo and adults playing catch, baseball catch, in the middle of the park. There was a mom, as we progressed, pitching to her son. The kid could rake, by the way, good hitter. Then I proceeded to leave the park and walked home and walked by driveways that were normally full of, after seeing it for 10 years, normally full of hockey nets and sticks and pucks, but had signs, Blue Jay parking only, only Blue Jay fans allowed. Porches that had Blue Jay flags flying. And as I, got closer to the house, I turned to my brother and just said, man, I don't think I've been fully aware as to what's going on. We've been flying across country. We've been so absorbed in everything that had happened. And that kind of, crested on Sunday when my inbox started to get inundated and my text messages were filled with hundreds of text messages. Some from people that I've met briefly along the way, over 34 years in MLB, or people I've met, in the 10 years I've lived here. Some from people I've never met before. But the stories were kind of all the same. It was over the past month, over the past season, we've had unbelievable moments and memories and bonds with our families, with our friends. We kept video links open during the games. We shed tears, of joy, tears of sadness, but we had unbelievable moments. Grandparents to grandkids, parents to kids, brothers and sisters, friends. We kept phone lines open. We'll never forget, the memories that were made. Please thank the team. Thank everyone for us. And it's unbelievable how uniform they were. And it spoke to the power that when you think about giving your life to working in sports, you do so for the moments that you think you might be able to lift a community. But you never imagine what it could mean to lift a community coast to coast. Not just to raise spirits, but to unite people. Not just to give people a reason to cheer, but to give people a reason to feel better about everything going on in the world right now. And for a period of time, it was an affirmation of every reason you work in sports. And then even better to me is when you read deeper in those emails or listen to the comments walking along the street, it was what people recognized about this team. Because I can tell you, having been involved with winning teams or having friends at work in a variety of sports, fans cheer winning regardless of who's on the field. They like to win. Everybody likes to win. But when you hear everyone uniformly pointing out the same attributes and characteristics and traits that we work so hard as an organization to instill, when they notice how authentically a group of teammates love and care for each other, when they notice how genuinely those players want for the fans to win, like genuinely and deeply want it for our fans to win, when they recognize their toughness, this is a group that it's tough to have your back against the wall. This is a group that almost savored having their backs against the wall. They had to win 4 in a row, the last 4 games of the season, to a very pivotal AL East championship that was meaningful to the stretch run and the postseason run. They had their backs against the wall 0-2 in the ALCS, multiple elimination games, and they always responded. And they noticed that toughness They noticed that grit, that resilience, that determination, and ultimately what it meant to be a teammate. So it wasn't just that the team won, it was how they won. It wasn't just that they were the players in the field as they accomplished some championships and great things. It was what they stood for as they did it. And ultimately, you could watch them play the game and everything else around the game and know what their identity was as a team and know what our identity was as an organization. And I think each of us throughout the country saw us in them. They saw the things that inspired us, the things that lift us, the reasons to believe, the reasons to feel belonging and a part of something. And as I sought to move forward, my overarching sentiment was one of gratitude. You know, first and foremost for our players and our staff for the unbelievable and exceptional effort they gave throughout the entire season, for the expectations they exceeded. No one expected them to do what they did, and for their belief in each other and for the fans they played for. Secondly, for our fans, you know, they were truly an extra player for us. They lifted us. We felt their support from coast to coast across the country. Third, for the organization, it takes exceptional efforts, not just strong efforts, throughout an entire organization, from people working in anonymity down in Dunedin, rehabbing, to people cleaning the concourse and making sure our systems work in this massive ballpark throughout an entire season, to people selling tickets, to people doing, you know, analysis of pitch data, to people rehabbing players. It's an entire organization recognizing that their work is not just meaningful, but essential for us to achieve high levels of success. And finally, to Edward Rogers and Tony Staffieri for leading an ownership group to an exceptional, unprecedented level of support, commitment, and belief this year, but I think even more in past years when maybe the success wasn't as easy to see. That's when it was most meaningful. So I moved forward. It's not easy to do. It's hard to do. I mentioned to Andrea on the walk down, as we walked by the field, I hadn't looked at the field since Saturday. I haven't spent a moment. I don't think, I couldn't look at the field. And I looked out there today. But it's with the rearview mirror on that inspiration, on that gratitude, on that understanding of the ability and potential to lift our community of Canada, that I walk away inspired and recommitted to resume the pursuit, you know, with greater determination, with more resolve, and even more committed. So I think that's how I wanted to start today. That's a very genuine set of feelings. They're a little bit raw, a little bit emotional, but I'm incredibly grateful is really how I feel today.